Hey guys, I was bored the other day and walked into a vintage car store near my home. I still don't know why I went in. I just wanted to look. Then I assumed it would also interest you, so I made a short video. Okay guys, as you know, wealthy people always have their fantasies, caprices and toys, right? I can quite understand a wealthy person who has everything, to the point where even black hair becomes daily. However, he still seeks new hobby. So, wealthy people created the term vintage cars. For older vehicles belong to junkyard or museum. They enjoy the same game the two crooks played in Andersen's fairy tale, The Emperor's New Clothes. If you don't know this fairy tale, I strongly recommend you to Google it and read it. You will enjoy it, trust me. In truth, I am envious of such circumstances. I would gladly participate in this game, taking an old car from my granny and creating an event among over-wealthy individuals with substantial financial resources, sparking their desire to purchase it, right? I would love to engage in such market strategy and shape public opinion by convincing ordinary people that these vintage cars have really value and can be sold for a high price level. But this is a form of financial investment. But I can tell you honestly, I don't believe it's true. You know, guys. I understand when such wealthy individuals play this game. Why not? If you have money, you can play any games, right? Still, it confuses me when middle-class people attempt to compete with rich guys by purchasing vintage cars, hoping their cars' value will increase someday. And middle-class people truly believe they can sell vintage cars for a large sum in the future. A vintage vehicle requires regular attention and maintenance. Sometimes it is not cheap, you know. I know people in Miami who deny themselves the necessaries to keep such car in good condition, hoping that someone will someday buy it or take it on a show, impress onlookers who don't even have proper understanding of cars. My dear followers, please understand me correctly. I am not against vintage cars and rare cars, but their rightful place in museum is just my opinion. And no one of these cars should be excessively overvalued simply because a wealthy individual has influence over the so, right? Guys, I am reminded of wondered. Let me remind you. So sorry for my English. English is not my native, and I don't read any subtitles. I just try to express myself from my brain. Sometimes it is not easy. I hope you understand. I just tell you, I try to remind you a wonderful film called Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. There is a Freddie Benson questions why he would need wine, what he cannot drink, why he would have woman with whom he cannot sleep, and why he needs cars, but he cannot drive. Guys, when I enter in vintage car store, I have mixed feelings. My mentally not yet reached the wealthy person's mentality. And perhaps you are right, I need help understanding the purpose of keeping these cars in my garage. If I drive down the road in such a vintage car, many surrounding drivers will pay attention and give me a little bit of their energy. Right, but one question remains, how much in monetary terms are these bits of energy I receive from the drivers around me worth? What will I get in return? I hope you understand me completely, what I mean. Yeah, guys, when I drive such a car, for some reason, a question constantly appears in my mind. What if someone crashes into my rare vehicle? What kind of headache can I get to restore it? You know, guys. As far as I know, many Rolls-Royce owners try to avoid accumulating high mileage on this vehicle. On their vehicles, as this significantly reduces the value of Rolls-Royce, guys. But I know one famous actor who shares the same point of view with me. After he received a large paycheck for his work, he bought a new Rolls-Royce and said, I will not play this game. I bought my Rolls-Royce to drive and don't care about its future value. I will rack up mileage on it and use my Rolls-Royce as much as I please, right? However, a new trend is coming when young, wealthy individuals don't particularly want to buy old vintage cars. Guys, new, young, rich people prefer brand new, freshly manufactured vehicles, but nobody else has used it before. Affluent young individuals who can afford luxury cars prefer not to have anyone's old cars with dried sperm on these seats of this vehicle. I 100% agree. This is very right decision. This is new trend is obvious on the street. Around 3 miles from this store, another dealership tried to sell vintage cars a few years ago, but it has since closed down. Guys, I think this is obvious, right? It's happened because the owner of this vintage car dealership, not the owner of non-residential premises, but place for this dealership and he had to pay the rent for his dealership, right? The owner of this dealership inherited the premises from his grandfather and doesn't need to pay rent. I assume this is why he's still afloat and his business still remains, right? Watch everything here. I think it's true, because he don't need to pay rent, he pays just state taxes for his property. And the reason why he can afford to keep it, if he don't have a lot of profit, right? Guys, I love beautiful and stylish cars. It's very enjoyable to sit in them and touch everything inside. It looks like you are connected with the era of your grandfathers. It's very fascinating, right? But we move forward. If I had the choice to buy used Rolls-Royce, which is very valuable, or new one for the same amount, I would prefer to buy a new one. Dear viewers and subscribers, I am very curious to know your opinion. What would you prefer to buy, a new or vintage car, if you had to pay the same price for either of them? Please share with us your opinion, guys, and so sorry my English, please. I try to keep my brain sharp. I just have a small memorizer on my iPad, and I don't read titles like any bloggers, because YouTube channel, in my opinion, for me, first of all, can help me to develop my brain. We are getting older. In my age, and English is not my native, and I try to exercise myself, right? And I love to talk with you here. I would like to build my community, people who want to be smart, who want stop to getting older. No, maybe not stop, just do it a little bit slow, right? And I gave another name for my channel. I think Game Forge would be much better than Live Life Well. Maybe someone don't want to live well. Maybe he won't live just like the beautiful movie Limitless anymore. He don't want to live forever. He want to be smart and use NZT pills to keep him sharp forever. This is my way I try to do. And guys, I want you subscribe and don't judge me too much. I know all young teachers on YouTube don't recommend ask subscribers to subscribe, but guys, please, I know you are not greedy, just subscribe, just push a button. See? I would love to meet you soon. Guys, I wish you good luck and see you in the next video. Bye.